Congressman Espaillat and Eddie Taveras from Forward.us. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course. So we saw recently a federal judge put the DACA program on hold. This is a program targeted at children of undocumented immigrants that come in when they're very young, so they have protected status. So, Eddie, I want to go to you first. What does this mean for immigrants in the U.S. and immigrants in New York? How does this ruling affect them?
Yeah, so, we've continued to see how DACA recipients have been left in the limbo in the fight against this very successful program that has bipartisan support and that the American people support overwhelmingly. And so how this affects the almost 30,000 DACA recipients is that it continues to leave them in the limbo. The essentially good news is that folks that are currently under DACA can continue to renew. And so until the courts litigate that, we've heard from the White House, who already put out a statement prompting that they will appeal this ruling and see it all the way through the courts. On the very unfortunate side, besides the fact that DACA once again is in jeopardy, is that the new Dreamers who would have been eligible to receive DACA, and that's about almost 80,000 people, are no longer able to get DACA. And so that keeps them in jeopardy of deportation and continues to keep them in the shadow by not giving them work authorization. And so those are the things that because of this ruling that we're now going to see. And there's one clear, solution to this, which is passing a pathway to citizenship for Dreamers, DACA recipients, TPS, and essential workers.
So that's a very big issue we'll get to in a second. So, Congressman, DACA is a program, if people aren't familiar, that was put in place by the Obama administration without Congress. Do you see any appetite in Congress among Democrats, even among Republicans, to codify DACA into federal law rather than having it sit in this limbo of executive power?
Absolutely. I think DACA is a low-hanging fruit, if you may, within the broader immigration reform debate. And as was said by Eddie, in blue states and in red states, there is an appetite to bring some relief for these young people, primarily because people identify with them. They are nurses, and they are teachers, and homeowners, and small business owners. And they are an important part of the fabric of communities across the country. I think that TPS recipients, DACA recipients, essential workers are really low-hanging fruits. They should be extended their rights and their benefits almost immediately. But we have an additional 11 million people or so that are undocumented that we must also address.
So this opens us up to a wider conversation about a path to citizenship. Eddie, I want to go to you. Supporters of a path to citizenship say that basically people are living here and they need that path just because it provides so many more opportunities for people, so many more services. On the other side of this debate is people saying that there shouldn't be a path to citizenship. It should be easier to immigrate to the U.S. What would you say to those people who have that perspective?
So I say it's both, right? There should have a pathway to citizenship for folks that are here, and there should be easier channels for folks to come here if they so choose to, for whatever the reason is. And so we know in the last 4 years that immigration and migration to the United States have been cut. All legal pathways here have been cut, by insurmountable, ways. And so we can't have it both ways. And so what we are asking is a humane, dignified ways to ensure that families are reunited and the people that are already here that have contributed to our economy, but more importantly to our social fabric, who are our families, neighbors, worker, colleagues, can stay here. And so this is not just about the economic impact, this is also about the humanity and the community that has already been built by undocumented immigrants for decades.
Congressman, what do you say to Republicans when they are against this, when they talk to you about this? Obviously, you have to go through reconciliation because in the Senate, if you don't, then Republicans could filibuster it if they wanted to. What would you say to Republicans that just don't want this?
I say that immigration reform is the best economic development plan that we have. And that in fact, as we come out of the pandemic, we see And one of the clear complaints that I hear from people across my district and outside of my district is the lack of employees they have for small businesses. But if we're really going to undertake a major, let's say, transportation infrastructure initiative that will provide, millions of jobs, I think there's going to be a greater need also for additional workers in other areas, right? That will be sort of like left without the labor force that they need to move forward. So the immigration reform debate is, in my opinion, the best economic development plan that we could put together. And really, if you look at American history, our economy really has never been boosted up to where we want it to be without immigrant labor right next to it. So, that we have no choice in this matter.
That brings me to another question for you, Eddie. I feel like when people think of immigration issues, they automatically go to deportation. It's just what people know when they think about immigrants. But there are obviously a lot of other issues that affect the immigrant community, both in the U.S. and in New York. What are some of those issues that people may just not be aware of, especially here in New York?
Yeah, in New York, we have more specifically language barriers that really hinders how not just undocumented immigrants, but also immigrants with status here are unable to access certain opportunities, whether that's social or even entrepreneurial. We saw that during the pandemic, during PPEs, a lot of immigrant small businesses could not access those because there was a huge language barrier. And so making sure that New York is proactive about providing these type of accesses, but also making sure that it's more democratized to ensure that it's reaching certain people throughout New York. The other issue is that I say is occupational licensing. So ensuring that undocumented folks have the ability to apply and get tested and have licenses. And that could be anywhere from healthcare professionals, from small business, plumbers, and so on and so forth. So there's currently a bill called the Empire State Licensing Act that would allow this to happen. We've seen this happen in Nevada, New Jersey, and recently in Colorado as well. So looking for economic opportunities, but also expanding how we interact with our non-English speaking immigrant community is critical for this state and its economy.
It's a lot to look into, and obviously the issues that are affecting the immigrant community in New York are very expansive and too much to fit into this interview, so we'll leave it there. Eddie Taveras from Forward.us and Congressman Adriano Espaillat, thank you both so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.